G'day everyone, Scott here from One Green Thumb Gardening in Toowoomba. Thank you very much for joining us here at my channel, One Green Thumb Gardening. Myself and my wife run a gardening business doing full property maintenance service and some landscaping. And basically we run 95% of our tools on Ego battery equipment. I had an email from Rick who asked, is it worthwhile going down the Ego battery range? For a battery for domestic has a warranty for 3 years. If you're commercial, you only have 12 months warranty, unless of course you put it under someone else's name and try and run it through that way, but then you might run the risk of not being able to claim it through the business. So catch-22, we just run it all through the business and claim it as an expense, and then I just have to go on the fact that I've got to make sure that I get enough use out of a battery within 12 months, because most of the batteries you'll only get a year and a half out of. They say, Ego states that they can get 800 to 1,000 cycles. I'll be happy if I get 400 to 500 cycles on a battery. The only battery out of all of these which is still going from 2019 is this bad boy here. Most other batteries are from 21 and above. 21 and above. So in regards to how many cycles I get out of a battery, yeah, as I said, I'd be happy with 400 to 500. That 800 cycles, you're pushing it. So am I going to get $500 on a 7.5 value in a year? I'd say so. When I start taking out the cost of fuel, dealing with air carburetors and air filters and oil and all the crap that goes with petrol equipment, batteries definitely far more economical in terms of, probably not the cost of use, but in terms of I save the money by not having to deal with all that petrol-related crap. I would say that battery operated stuff, depending on which tools you use, can be more expensive than others. So like if you're using your hedge trimmers, by far super cost effective. If you're running lawnmowers and blowers, that's when you're starting to, it's expensive. So you're not going to get the time out of a battery on a mower or a blower compared to a hedge trimmer. But yeah, I still would not go back to petrol at all. You've got the noise, the vibration, as I said, all that carburetor stuff. So basically how batteries work is they run 2.5, 5, 7.5, 10, and I don't have any 12s. Let me look at my book again. So 2.5 is running at, 2.5 is running at 230, a 5 is 380, a 7.5 is running at 490, a 10 is 600, and a 12 is $720. And then again, the run time, let's say a 7.5 on a multi-tool, I've had it go up to 4 hours in one battery. Generally, I'd say about that 3 hours of hedge trimming on a multi-tool. I don't use the handheld one, so I can't give an exact answer for that. My wife uses those, but yeah, longevity. She only runs the 2.5s for the weight. For blowers, on a 7.5 on turbo, I'll get about that half an hour to 40 minutes. So like if I'm doing like a car park or something like that, 40 minutes. If I'm doing whippersnipping, nice light general whippersnipping, you'll get that hour of whippersnipping. Sometimes I've had batteries that have only lasted me 20 minutes. Sometimes, just depends. Like the batteries, you really need to start labeling them like this, so that way you know that you can document which batteries start to play up and which ones don't. As soon as they start to play up, I mark them red. Other very important thing to do is put the date on them. 5th of the 2nd, 24. That was my date of purchase. So that way, when it starts to play up, take it straight in, because I've had batteries that were 11 days out of warranty and that was it, no claim. These two 10s pissed me off pretty. I was gutted when these guys didn't even last 6 months. Both of them, actually. I took them in to get fixed and there was nothing wrong with them, and then finally it shit itself and then it was out of warranty. But yeah, other batteries I've generally get about, so I'd say I get that 1.5 years out of them. I have tried repairing them. I've pulled them all apart. So if one battery dies or one cell dies, the whole battery goes. And then of course I'm not very electrically minded, so that's quite challenging for me to pull all these wires apart and get it all back together and have the bastard running again. So I kind of give up. Nowhere fixes batteries that I can find. So unfortunately, when a battery dies, there's not much I can do with it. And then, so with batteries, you'll get ones that'll say 2. You go to plug it in, and then it will flash red on you. Or like this one, it says 1. Plug it in, it says it's full, but it doesn't work. That's out of warranty. So, anyway, so the most important thing, I guess, is to make sure that you're going to use the batteries enough to get your dollar's worth within that year. Otherwise, it may not become economical. Definitely go down the multi-tool. There's 2 that I just bought brand new. Haven't got them out of the box yet. So I just bought the power head and one with a hedge trimmer, because we do a lot of hedge trimming. Also, I definitely recommend, the backpacks is a bit controversial. I do not use my multi-tool without a backpack, and my employees who use the multi-tools would all agree that you cannot run a multi-tool without a backpack, because you just want the extra power from a 7.5 or a 5, and then it just gets too heavy without it. The problem is, so this is a newer one. This is my only one that's still in good condition with the little plug, but they break. So, because every time you put your multi-tool down on its bum to change the head or do whatever, they break. So then what I have to do is then hardwire them in. So get a decent extension cord, and then I just cut it. So I actually make all my cords longer because I'm 180 centimeters. So I cut mine longer to give me that extra reach, and then I just hardwire it in there. So there's basically just your 3 wires, positive, negative, and earth. Say black, red, and then your earth is just the substitute for this battery one. And then I also started using, so this is mine that I use every day. As you can see, it's pretty worn. I've also put a sleeve on it because the amount of times that you, especially when I'm using handheld hedge trimmer, you accidentally cut the cord. I don't know how many of these have had the cords cut. Quite a few. That's just a shower hose. Pull the rubber tubing out and I replace it with that. So I gave up trying to talk to ego in the early days of saying what a stupid idea this thing was, and I tried to go down the road of doing it under insurance, or warranty, but you're just constantly replacing them. So, and it was such a stupid idea. Anyway, so that's what I do, is I hardwire all mine up. I've got 2 more in the truck that are hardwired like that. This one's due to be hardwired back up because it's still, and then I've got one that's still decent. Hopefully that explains backpacks. Another very important thing that I do is I buy all my tools as a kit with a battery and a charger, because in the long run they're a lot cheaper and you will definitely need those extra batteries as the business grows. So when you're using the batteries, your 2.5 is basically for very light blowing and your handheld hedger. And if you're doing multi-tool hedging, that's the way to go with a 2.5, but you won't get a lot of runtime doing the multi-tool or the blowing, only just quick 10-minute jobs. That's where you need the 5s, but then they start getting a bit heavy. And then when you go to your 7.5s, which are in your mowers, blowers, and your multi-tool, but on your blower and your multi-tool, you need those in the backpack. And then your 10s are just for your lawnmowers. And I don't have any 12s. And just make sure that you put that date of purchase on that battery, and as soon as it plays up, just take it in, and just keep taking it in until they fix the bastard, because otherwise they sort of just check the volts on it and say, oh, it's fine, but it's not. So then you're $600 down the tube. Hopefully that's the good and the bad of the battery. Oh, what else we got? Generic ones. So generic brand. So I just painted them different colors so I know which one was which. So when I used one, I knew that the yellow one would be dead, and then I would go to the blue one, or vice versa. These are 165. They say 12 amps on them. Somewhere there. They're actually equivalent to a 5. So when you put them in a blower, I got 15 seconds more out of one of these than a 5 amp. And as you can see, the size, obviously when they put them on a multimeter, somehow they say 12, but they've got the same size batteries and the same amount of batteries as a 5 amp. So the 12 amp is a bit of a gimmick. That one's failed on me, this one. I'm still waiting for a reply from the people who I bought it from to see whether or not they're going to cover it under warranty, which they reckon they do. And these are about 8 months old, and I forgot to write date of purchase on these. This one here is still going good. And yeah, I don't find anything wrong with it. So if I can get 1 year out of a battery at $165 opposed to $380 for a 5 amp Ego, then I'm still in front. So technically, even though that one's failed, if this one runs at a year, I'm equivalent to one battery Ego. But if both of them worked for 12 months, then I'm definitely in front. So that's my generic batteries off eBay. I think that's it. Yeah. As for, yeah, I wouldn't go back to petrol. I love this Ego stuff. I've tried quite a few other brands. I've tried Stihl, and I've tried Ozito in Australia. So you got your Zito, your Ryobi, Stihl. I've tried Palic. I think that's how you pronounce it. One of the commercial brands. I didn't like that either. So I still would just go Ego. Oh, the other main thing when you go battery. So the most important thing when you go battery is to remember that once you start going down that rabbit hole, you can't switch and change. Like you can't have a Husqvarna chainsaw and a Stihl whippersnipper and a Bush Ranger something else and whatever. Once you go down the battery range, that's where you've got to go. Whether it be DeWalt, Milwaukee, Stihl, all that sort of stuff. Once you go into that, it just becomes way too expensive to have different brands, different batteries, because the batteries are the killer of the business. Because if the batteries fail, then you're not going anywhere. So make sure that if you are going to go down the rabbit hole of batteries, which I'm not deterring you from. Just make sure that by the time that you get your lawnmowers, we've got 4 lawnmowers. There's 2 there, plus 2 on the truck. Actually, I've got 6 and 2 under the shed and 1 in parts. So, you know, once you go batteries, lawnmowers, just make sure that you're confident or prepared to go down that thing, and you may end up, I don't know how to exactly put it, or so with your batteries, it's a fine line of cost effective over ease of use. Like, the ease of use on batteries is just mind-blowing. You just press the button, away you go. Trying to start like your whippersnippers and blowers, mowers, just drive you insane. And then of course trying to mix your ratios of fuels, and of course blowers and mowers and whippersnippers and shit all have different ratio of oil to fuel mix, and so then you've got like 4 jerry cans of fuel. And I'm not saying that if your batteries die, then it takes an hour to recharge a battery, whereas going to the service station, it's only going to take you 15 minutes. So on a lot of properties here in Australia, most people have got solar panels, so I've got 2 rapid chargers, the new version rapid chargers, which I run in this truck, and we can have 2 batteries up and going again within half an hour, or I think it's 25 minutes on the 2.5s, and I think the 7.5s is 50 minutes, so I can have 15 amps of battery within under an hour. That is definitely the way to go. Thank you very much for watching my video. Hopefully that answered as many questions as possible. If there is anything that I have missed, please drop me a comment below and I will do my best to answer it. Thanks again for watching, and have a beautiful day. See you next time.